Fagioli, and welcome.
Yes, indeed, a true Fagioli, and welcome to you. It is I, Gomez, and I'm joined by my co-host, Janky.
Hello!
And today, we're talking all things Runeterra and whatnot. I know that a few people were disappointed with the patch notes that were recent, because they seem to consider there to be a lack of patch notes, but to be fair, that was what this patch note was supposed to be. I don't know if people remember how the thing was set up many moons ago, but in one big patch note, and then 2 weeks, then there's like little intermittent, like little changes that need to be made, and then 2 weeks after, that's when the real patch notes happen. Obviously, before, the big patch note was all the new cards. So this was the little quality of life changes that got made this time. Which, to be fair, they actually changed a few things that were problematic with some of the new cards that were added. Like, I don't know if you saw in the patch notes yourself that they've changed it so that the sun disc no longer glitches out, and if you put multiple sun discs on the board, it doesn't just discount the one anymore, which is actually quite a big change, as well as that they changed a few things that were problems with what is it? Cataclysm. The spell Cataclysm was causing a number of problems. Number one, the fact that it ignored Spell Shield. So they've actually managed to change that now, so that's no longer happening. It's not just immediately attacking the Nexus and things. So yeah, that good changes.
I think there was a problem with Cataclysm actually in the early days, where if your opponent cataclysmed and it brought in something like Jarvan, so the card it was meant to work with, right?
Yeah.
If it brought in Jarvan and there was two people attacking in that in the Cataclysm combat, then you could put blockers in the way. Or no, you could move the that was it. If you attacked in with Cataclysm and it dragged out Jarvan, then the thing that had been cataclysmed, they could change who it was blocking. Yeah, which the mental image of that is just really funny. To slide to the left.
But yeah, no, so I think it was more just a couple of changes, quality of life changes, but it's just that's how the patch notes have been going. It's a little tiny patch and everything, but I know there's a lot of people who have been annoyed because they say, "Oh, we've got another 2 weeks of Twisted Fate and Fizz," but to be fair, there are some counters to Twisted Fate and Fizz. It's a very powerful deck, but there's some counters. If you're a person who's going to play that, instead of just trying out the new cards and whatnot, then that's who you are. You're entitled to do that, as well as the fact that obviously you might just be somebody who doesn't have a big collection, and so your only real strategy is to go with what is one of the most popular decks at this moment in time, because you can build that, and then so there's actually nothing wrong with it. But I know that some people have taken issue with it.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of opinions on what's happened recently. My Twitter was I was actually just upset seeing the response from the community. Legends of Runeterra releases patches faster than any other game.
Yes.
Full fucking stop, but especially CCGs.
Definitely.
As a fellow Hearthstone player, I'm a Wild player actually. I'm in an even worse position. The tier 1 deck in Wild has been the same for the past year.
Yeah, I remember. I still remember the days where it was literally something would happen, and there would take 2 months or 3 months for them to change it, and it's during that time, just this. I think it's because people maybe are a little bit they've not played other CCGs before, or they just don't understand sometimes what the balance patch is, how long they take. Yeah, and Runeterra is really good, in terms of they're faster than, as you say, they're faster than most of the other ones that there are around.
The other thing is, I don't want hotfixes to be the solution. I really hope that Riot doesn't cave to all of the negativity that they've gotten recently, because hotfixes are not a good permanent solution. Because if they were to just hotfix cards to deal with them, we would end up with more issues like we had with Hush. The nerfs to Hush were very rushed, were very based on community outrage, and it was one of the worst nerfs in the game thus far. They had to redo it twice. And if they were to just hotfix the Fizz TF deck, they would do something like make TF a 5 cost or something, which is not like a good solution.
I believe the one that I've been hearing the most is change pick a card to 4 mana, so that you can't just drop him on turn 4 with full spell mana and then use pick a card. I believe that's the one that
Oh,
I've heard the most of people saying move pick a card up to 4.
I've heard like legitimately maybe 100 solutions at this point, and
Yeah.
that's the thing,
Yep,
right?
yep, fair
There's
point.
so many ways that this could be done, and we want them to pick the healthiest one. So just telling them to go faster is not good for the longevity of like the competitive scene. Like,
Yeah.
let them take their time, and like even when they take their time, it's 4 weeks. Calm the fuck down. We literally just had the new expansion.
Exactly. There's so many new cards and things to be going on with it. That like there's plenty to enjoy. Like I know for a fact I've been having a blast with
Oh my
these new
god.
cards and the stupid ideas that have come out of my head have
For
been amazing.
for the first time ever, I have been playing normal games just for fun. Like, I have
Yeah.
never been anything except a ranked player, and now I'm just fucking around. I am
Yeah.
still plat 4, because all I can do is fuck around in normals.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And the thing of it is that like some people think that the only option is to play ranked, and what ends up happening is once you play ranked for a certain amount of time, if you're not progressing, which to be fair, like sometimes in the metas, what ends up happening is that you do well for a little bit, but then you just smash all the way back down. How many of us have had that feeling of getting your way all the way up to like what would you like a whatever like platinum 1 or diamond 1 and then crashing all the way back down to 4 like just because you just become tilted and like think that
Yeah.
you have to try to regain the momentum that you had, and all it ends up doing is like causing more, and that what ends up happening is that just really seems to affect you badly mentally in terms of the fact that obviously it makes you think that the game's no longer fun, there's nothing to do. But in normals you can still have the fun duels, but there's no um there's no consequences to like obviously because when you're in the rank ladder, you just feel I need to win, I have to win. If I don't win, then it's all going terribly wrong. But I don't know, in those you just mess around, have some fun, and sometimes I think you need to do that to alleviate from what the ranked ladder can do to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a healthier relationship with this game than ever. And even when I do see Fizz TF, that deck is so like inconsequential to like your time spent grinding. Like at least they
Yeah.
win quickly. They spend a lot of time fiddling with themselves, but that's like any storm.
Yeah.
That's like any storm deck in any game. You can just surrender at that point. You know they have the game. Like,
Yeah.
uh, so like I am happier with this game than I've ever been. This release was a lot better than Targon, and I think even better than the Season of Fortune. The Season of Fortune, I think, is like very rose tinted in people's memories.
I mean,
This
it
one
was
is
good times. It was good times,
it
man.
was good times, but I don't know if it was like I don't know if that's like the what's the word I'm looking for? The magnum opus of card sets. Like people speak about the Season of Fortune as if it was like the best release ever, and
Mate,
it
mate.
was really good. But like
Nostalgia, mate.
yeah.
Everything in nostalgia is best, mate. I will still claim to this day that Legends, which is what is it, Ocarina, which is Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is still the best game ever. You can fight me IRL.
I will fight you with different nostalgia. I present you Majora's Mask.
My God, the moon!
Yeah, literally.
but yes, that's what I mean. Literally, I think that nostalgia always hits people when like they've always got a soft spot for certain things.
Because Rise of the Tides was when we first saw Nox PNZ burn being a serious issue. So
Yeah.
like yeah. I wonder how long it will take people to look back at this set and be like, oh, it was the best set. Why aren't releases like that anymore? And just completely forget the Fizz TF thing that happened.
But yeah, no. But speaking of which, like, so what have been some of like your surprises within the new cards and what has been like standing out as like my God, I wasn't expecting these.
In which direction? Because I
all of them, every direction.
Okay, just in a pretty neutral direction. Like I was surprised by mechanically how some of these cards worked.
Right.
The one that really hit me, and I just didn't even notice until a friend brought it to my attention. Ricochet, the deal 1 damage randomly to the enemy, like to an enemy or the enemy nexus 5 times.
Yes.
It pops the keg like if you have a keg, it pops the keg to increase that number for all 5 instances, which
Yes, yes, 'cause
intuitively makes sense. It just never I never thought about it.
that is how funny that card. Yeah, no, because obviously, yeah, because it's only one spell on the stack. So
Yeah.
obviously, like Riptide Rex puts loads of spells on stacks. Obviously, it's only the first one that gets hit. But with Ricochet, yeah, no, it's only one. So literally, it's all of that damage.
Yeah, I was playing 1v1s with said friend the other day, and he hit me with the more powder ricochet for 15 damage. It was very rude.
Devastating.
I think there's a lot of cards which have been probably a little bit worse than is expected, and a lot more that are better than expected. Like if we're talking on the competitive spectrum, I am really, really overly impressed by Ice Shard, the deal 1 damage to everything.
I mean, that was always when I saw that card. I don't know, personally myself, I was like, that's gonna do good. My
Yeah,
sorry,
mm,
I was just gonna say my reason for saying that is just because just like discard aggro and like decks, even like Twisted Fate Fizz, where you've got like those
yeah,
things with 1 health, like
Burberfish.
that just works so well.
Yeah, yeah. So when I first saw it, I thought it was like a lot of people. I thought it was a Death Lotus that costs 1 more and hits face in colors that care more about that kind of effect. So the huge thing was that this is in Freljord, not Noxus, and I underestimated how much that mattered.
Yeah.
This being able to fit into the right style of deck for Death Lotus is enormous. And while we're talking about Freljord, Lysandra is so much better than I thought she would be.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
holy shit.
I had thought she was just going to be a meme thing for her watcher, but literally, actually, not bad at all.
Yeah.
Nice.
What has pleasantly surprised you? Because there's a ton.
Okay, so in terms of what has surprised, I mean, the thing of it is I wouldn't say it surprised me because I knew this was gonna be like in my head,
I always knew.
I knew that this was gonna be funny. But honestly, I'm loving the fact Lost Riches, the ability of getting those treasures, like obviously like in a deep deck, like the ability of getting those treasures before playing. So the fact that you could play this potentially on like turn 3, and then get treasures that you could use like either like next turn or the turn after, like depending on obviously how much mana that you've got. Like early game treasures can really swing a game really unbelievably funny and quickly. So like sometimes I've had it literally where I've just drawn my treasure, played it on the stack, and my opponent has immediately just conceded.
Yeah.
Because they've just been, yeah, no, this is done.
Like, Deep doesn't have a lot of plays in the early game, and while Lost Riches looks like it should be a joke, one of the first decks that made it into European Masters was a Deep list running the Scarab, whatever it's called, the Shadow Isles card,
Yes.
and Lost Treasures. So Lost Riches even. So it's not as stupid as it looks. It really, especially with the fact that you can use spell mana for it, and there's not a lot of uses for spell mana in the early game with Deep.
Yeah.
This card is surprisingly good. Like a double underline on the surprising.
Yeah, literally no. But see, that's why everyone else was surprised. But I was like, I know how powerful treasures are, and so literally I was just like, my god, this is amazing! Like the ability to get the, like, I was like, it surprised me how surprised people were.
You sitting at home sipping your tea, like I've made 6 treasure decks this week.
Do you know? No, do you know? Look, talking from a guy who used to make decks that would specifically work around Shipwreck Holder, like the ability of making several copies of Shipwreck Holder, or like going deep with the plan was just making loads of shipwrecks, like turbo deep with P and Z, and making like there's so many different things I did.
It was like the time we were doing 1v1s on stream, and just by coincidence, we both played that deck into each other.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It's the stupidity of that, but it's just so funny when you do it. And it's the treasures, without a doubt, are just like probably one of the most underrated crazy things that you can do, and it's amazing.
Do you think they're ever going to add to the treasure pool, like the cards that could be generated as a treasure?
Well, they could do, right? They might do. Who knows? Because right now, like I feel like you're always looking for treasure trove or even the eggs. Sometimes, like Neil Breaker can sometimes be really good in like situational if your opponent's got like a big board or something. But if they don't, that's the one that you're just like, that's the one that I don't need. Right?
what while we're talking about like pet cards, like cards that are like that really hit home with our playstyles, Ancestral Boon has been the most fun I have had playing Legends of Runeterra. Oh my god! So anybody who has watched me like stream or play Freljord at all will know that I always force Hearthguards, or really I always force late game deck buffs in
Yeah,
Freljord because deck buff is just really fun. I like drawing huge people.
yeah.
And Ancestral Boon, the Enlightened, grant everything in your deck +2/+2. I've played so much Karma Freljord. I've lost with so much Karma Freljord.
Mm,
I'm having.
devastating.
I can confirm from experience that yes, Ancestral Boon is as bad as it looks.
But it looks so good.
Well, are you sure?
I mean, to be fair,
uh,
the enlightened thing, like obviously, like if you want to get, so you can either go for the immediate buff, which let's face it, you are most likely doing, because otherwise you are waiting, unless you're playing that in some form of ramp deck where you're trying to get enlightened fast. Yeah, I can understand how that's not gonna, that's not gonna
yeah.
be well for you.
Talking about cards that overperformed. What do you think about the whole concurrent timelines thing? Because there's been a lot of complaints about that as well.
Concurrent timelines, right? So here's the thing, right? Obviously, there is the one and done combo, which 60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is ways of countering it in terms of the fact that, like, obviously you could kill the unit or you could actually stop the spell, which is doing the damage. But it is one of those things whereby it is. I feel like it's been blown a little bit out of proportion personally,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about consistency, right? And I don't know how consistent that deck can be because sometimes it's not really got much going for it. Obviously, it's run more as a control kind of deck in terms of like, trying to stop your opponent from developing. But if they can't do that and you can just get the damage in from say like an aggro deck or something, that's not really. I don't think it's got enough to help it out. Sometimes, obviously, it depends on the draws, but doesn't every game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, obviously they need to draw. Like, do you know how many times I've had it where somebody's done that and I've got into the late game? I was thought, shit, all it takes is one Ledros and I'm done, and they just don't find Ledros. They're like, aha! And it gives like the ability to go in and like just continuously smash them has happened multiple times. Obviously, it's been squeaky bum time moments where I've just thought just one Ledros and it's done, but. It's surprising like how
I
many times they don't find it.
I don't know. I personally and like at this point, if it's not clear to everybody, I usually err on indifference.
Yeah.
Uh, I personally could not give a shit about concurrent timelines. Like the deck has slightly under a 50% win rate, and people might say, but it's fundamentally toxic. What if sometimes you just lose? What if you don't have the answer? Well, sometimes you just lose because you don't have the answer. You can put that's a heading for any matchup ever.
I can't
Like
remember. I can't. Somebody actually wrote something to me that was something along those lines, where it said something like, "It stops you from being able to." Like, I can't. Remember. Somebody said something to me that was basically like, "If you don't have the answers, then it's dumb." It's like, yeah, that's the same with any kind
yeah,
of combo.
name me a single deck where
Yeah.
if you don't answer it, they'll lose.
Exactly. So, yeah, no, that is that. I can't. Somebody said something like that to me. And I was thinking the same thing. Just like, but if you don't have the answers to any kind of thing, then you don't have the answers. Like, it does
Yeah.
depend on the draws and whatnot. And the thing of it is that I feel like it's been blown out of context. Literally, any of like it can be changed very simply, either by them adding more 9 cost things at any point, just dilutes that down, or taking one of those cards, like I'd prefer if they took Dreadway to an
Buff
8.
for Dreadway. Buff for Dreadway.
I would love Dreadway to be an 8, but that's what I mean. Literally, I don't think it's too much.
Who
It's
was
one
it
of those
that?
things where yeah, it's done if it's done, but you're also done if they level up their Nasus and atrocity your face. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's like moves like that where it's like it's just there's if you don't have the counters, you don't have the counters.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, but if you don't have a vengeance or a counter spell or a fucking bounce effect or like, if you don't have any kind of interaction in your deck, how are you meant to win? Yeah,
Yeah.
kinda.
So yeah, so I've got
um,
over. Actually, the one thing that I love about concurrent timelines is the crazy moves that you can pull off in different regions. So it opens up a few different plays. Obviously, I put out a deck not too long ago on Ionian timelines. The ability, because you can grant cards stats and they still stay on the stat
Yeah,
even
that's
after they
another
get.
interaction that surprised me a lot.
Yeah, so you can use like the grant things. Obviously, you can use things like the Green Glade Elder, which, let's face it, like, I think it's the one free who
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
one free who
Three,
buffs
three, one,
everyone.
3-1. Yeah,
Free one, yeah, sorry, the one which it free one who buffs everyone. So obviously
the
with that
big hat
stat
man.
line, the big hat man,
Yeah,
which he buffs everyone, but then obviously his stats aren't exactly the best for keeping him on there. But then changing him into another thing when he's buffed everyone in hand is very nice. The ability of the Blade Scout who comes in and it just says like, once I'm played, I'm elusive, like for the round. You can then change him, but he still keeps the elusive stat line, or things like anything that grabs. Or if you put a Poro, a patchwork Poro, whatever the Poro had, like the choices that you made as you like upon playing it, it will
yeah.
keep that upon the change. So there's certain moves like that which are interesting, as well as the fact it can be used very nicely with the invoke package from Targon, in terms of the fact that, like, priestesses on turn 3 and whatnot, they give you the invoke, but they've not got really good stat lines, but you can use this to change them into something which could be useful to you. So there are actually other uses for current timelines other than the straight up kill.
Just you talking about transforming into other one costs triggered the thought. I find it extremely funny that Bloodthirsty Marauder, the one cost 3-1, is still not playable.
um
Sucks to be this, man.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
Please unnerf my boy. Just give us the 3-2 that can't block again. It was fucking cool.
It's just like would it be too much allowing Noxus that that little bit of extra, because obviously
When,
Noxus has got a lot of power, man.
yeah,
Noxus has got a lot of power.
when they nerfed, what is it, Legion Rearguard or whatever? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
yes, Legion
When
Rearguard, so you can't block.
when they nerfed it, Targon didn't exist, and
Yeah.
like I think aggro needs so much help now that there's so much healing in the game that I think it would honestly be fine reverting that change.
Hmm. I mean,
Like
it's
if you
potential.
look at Bakai Reaper, the one cost 1/2 that infinitely scales with
Yeah.
fearsome, it's like they are pushing one cost so hard. You might as well give it a shot.
You talk about like pushing one. You spoke about that guy, the Reaper. Obviously, the Reaper is actually a really good choice with that fearsome thing. But even the damn what's his face? The guy.
Sand friend.
Yeah, exactly. It's the guy who immediately gets his like turn one. He's a 2-1, just summons the little sandstone next to him. That's a devastating turn one, because at least one of those is hitting in. Unless you've got that card, one of those is hitting in for 2 damage, and
Right.
you,
It's it's like that meme of like Spider-Man putting his glasses on and like squinting. It's Dune Keeper. Wait a minute, that's Decimate.
exactly. That's what I mean. It's one of those things where like turn ones have gotten a lot more aggressive at this
Yeah.
moment in time in it. So I could see that they could do that change. So here's gonna be a very interesting one, in my opinion, right? And it's only because of a deck that I made today on stream, which is actually ridiculously funny, and it's like, I don't understand how it's not already a thing. Actually, it actually did really well. Like win wise, percentage wise, it did really well. Like on stream, obviously, and I
Mhm.
was only playing in normal, so I wasn't playing on the ranked ladder. But
Yeah.
mimic is
Ooh,
such a great
ooh.
spell.
Are you playing the same deck as me? Were you playing LeBlanc Ezreal?
No, I
No,
mean
that's
that's
not.
not what I was playing. I was playing, which I mean, we could have had the same thing, but I was doing it like we could have had the same thing, but I wasn't playing Ezreal as my second. I was playing Draven as my second. So LeBlanc
And
and Draven.
you were playing Mimic Hex Tech, like Mimic the forecast, whatever it's called.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Try beam, and Improbulate. The
Oh,
ability to
it's
mimic
so
that.
much
Oh,
fun.
it's such a good deck.
I am currently sitting like 5-2 with that deck.
I can't.
I
Oh, I can't believe we're playing the same deck.
that
I
that is like we were going like when I said we were gonna like chat about our favorite decks of the expansion. That's my one.
yeah.
Like 100%. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I can understand why Ezreal would be in that deck for you. And honestly, I did consider Ezreal in the deck, because obviously, like, once you get to a certain point of targeting, then he's going to be doing damage in. But my mind was, I drifted slightly more towards Draven, because I do like the Whirling Death, and I probably like that Whirling Death more than I should do. Plus, there was nothing in that deck that I wanted to discard for the discard draw that was the, what's its face? the free cost 4/3 robot man who discards a card and then draws one. So
Slum treasure.
yeah, I put him in there, and it just seemed to work more with Draven because I wasn't even using Draven's axes, which to be fair, sometimes that ends up being the thing when nobody actually uses Draven's axes unless you need them, and so
Yeah.
it just seemed to work out so well, and the ability of being able to mimic the tri-beaming propionator at different bits of when it's like increased damage, and then so you keep that is so stupidly funny, as well as the fact
Yeah.
that you can use mimic even in its reputation form, and that actually adds to the tri-beam that you are currently copying to use in that turn. Obviously, it gets like a lot more funny when it goes down to one cost, so that you can just do that like multiple times. But it's surprisingly funny.
Legitimate, like 2 hours ago, I have a story of playing that deck. I got my tri beam up to 7. We were on our turn 10. I had 2 floating spell mana.
Yeah.
I used the mimic on the tri beam, bringing it up to 8. I am not on the attack token. I get given off of the 2 tri beams that I then cast, the fleeting one and the original one, Captain Farron and Tiana Crown Guard.
Oh, devastating!
I
Devastating.
have never seen a man slap surrender so quickly.
Devastated. That
It's
yes.
so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It can make for a devastating thing. I can understand where your one's coming from with the Ezreal. But yeah, no, I don't know what. I went more Draven because he opened up a few interesting avenues with reputation as well. Because I was playing...
honestly, Draven is probably stronger. People were starting to like think of ways to cut Ezreal from Ezreal Draven last season, like the Farron version.
Yeah.
Pre-Farron nerf. So yeah, you're probably right. I think Draven is just like an objectively stronger card, but I don't know. I like stealing wins with Ezreal. Also, instead of the Slump Dredger, I'm playing the Thorn, the 5/1 Thorn woman.
Oh yeah, no, she's in my deck as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's in my deck as well.
Yeah, that and the 3/2 spider, like I'm like stacking ways of like taking up Draven Ezreal is just really incidentally easy in that deck, so
yeah.
No, such a devastating list, so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, like just there's so many different decks and cards and whatnot. Like I know that there's been a few people who haven't really liked Jarvan because they find him hard to level, but there are still some good. That's a card that we can talk about actually. Golden Aegis. Golden Aegis is devastating. Number one, obviously, it did help like Fiora decks and potentially even Fiora Shen, because obviously like why would you not put that in that deck? But it's got a few different capabilities. Like another deck that I put out was that one that involved Taric. The ability of using Golden Aegis on Taric and then going like so you can attack forward, use Golden Aegis on Taric, and then once you attack forward, he then puts that onto side, so you can get like 3 attacks in one go.
Yeah, it's another playful trickster style like targeted relentless pursuit. It's funny that the art features Jarvan when it's so clearly a Garen card. Like it's leveling Garen is easier than ever, and I love it.
Yes, definitely. And obviously, as you say, like it's the same kind of thing as Playful Trickster, but the thing with Playful Trickster was that it always made you have to remove something from the attack, because obviously then that it returns it and then rallies. Whereas obviously this is it's the same cost as well, right? Because it's a 4 cost. But this is no.
Way better.
You're staying in combat, but not only are you staying in combat, you're barriered up as well. So that's gonna make it harder for your opponent to deal with. And that is 100% different. Like the amazing card. Definitely.
Well, about the Jarvan card. So, Jarvan's level of animation is absolutely stunning, or so I've been told. I've never managed to level him. But one thing I have recently become like very recently become absolutely obsessed with the lore. Like last time when was it the last podcast we were talking about the lore, and someone in the comments like brought up the relationship between Jarvan and Jarvan the Third and all of that stuff. Ever since that episode, I have just been going down a hole. I think I have read like up to like 100-ish pages of lore at this point. And Jarvan's cards, the flavor text, tells a really interesting story.
Oh, nice.
It's really neat. Next time you're sitting in a game waiting for your opponent to take their turn, have a read of Jarvan's cards because they're quite interesting and suggest some neat stuff.
I'll definitely have to have a look at that. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. But
Jarvan himself sucks egg. Like I've tried so hard to make him good, and he's so satisfying, but he is not very good.
this is going to be a very interesting one for you right here. So I put him in a deck that was obviously a Demacian Elite deck,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I added, so it's a Demacian Allegiance Elite deck, but it runs 3 cards from a different region. And
Okay.
the 3 cards that it runs are Whispered Word from Noxus. Because actually, what you call it, with Garen and Jarvan both being at 5 attack anyway, and the ability of like getting things up there quite easily, because obviously I've got like Gallant Rider and things like that. Obviously, once he challenges, he turns into the 5/5, which you call it, like cavalry, and running obviously Cyphria and like the two copies of Cyphria the Bold and Cyphria the first like the one cost 2/2.
Yeah.
But with Bannerman, you can very quickly get people up to doing 5 damage. That really like gets the cost of what's his face Whispered Word down, and that's what like Demacia and Noxus's weaknesses have always been, is draw, and now Noxus has got that, and it just works really well in the Elite deck because of how many of their attack stats actually end up being quite good. So that's what I put into that deck, and seems to be doing quite well because it's consistently basically hitting itself as a 2 cost. And like drawing turn, this is really helping.
No word of a lie, the highest win rate I have had with Jarvan has been a Jarvan Lulu Shen deck, which I made mostly as a joke.
I love it. I love the idea there.
Yeah, barriers, you know, it's just barrier cards. But
Yeah.
the just talking what you were saying about Whispered Words, I am reasonably impressed that I like a pat on the back for us that the shit we said in the last episode almost like ubiquitously, is that the right word, came to be correct. Like we were pretty spot on when we were saying what cards are worth crafting and what aren't.
Were we? I can't even remember what I said.
Like we pretty much pointed out each champion that wasn't worth crafting, and most of the chase cards from the set pretty accurately.
Nice. Good
job, us.
good, because I didn't even realize. I mean, I presume we must have mentioned Whispered Word because that has always been the card, which is like has always been the thing which has held Noxus back, was the fact that they had a lack of draw and they basically had to go into other regions for draw. Because I think that we just joked like their main form of draw was either Bookie, which let's face it, Bookie's not really good draw.
Not real draw, no.
And obviously they do have the Assessor as well, but I don't know, like it never felt right, because obviously that's very much board dependent, and if your opponent is like smart enough to deal with your board, then Assessor's never going to be, because that's always like whenever you're playing against Sejuani Ashe, like, you know, and you know, like you instantly know, okay, right, I can't allow these units to stay because I'm their Assessor, I'm giving them a lot of value out of. And once that deck runs out of steam and gets into a top deck situation, it's near enough done on most cases. Yeah. So this just giving you the ability of like, you know, consistently being able to get more cards and draw when you need to is actually devastating.
I never thought I would see the day, or at least I never thought the day would come so quickly that I saw Freljord Ashe, Freljord, like Ashe mid-range cutting Trifarian Assessor. Like I thought it would take a long time for them to get cards powerful enough to consider cutting Assessor, and it's Whispered Words is a really good card.
Because it's consistent, right? Because that's the one problem with Assessor, is if your opponent knows what they're up against, like, well, yeah, I'm gonna stop that and stop you doing it, but it doesn't matter, because think about how many five attack things attack in on that deck. The Yetis, like, Ashe, like, once she levels, you got like so many 5 attack things that head in, that reputation card, you hit that in nothing. So yeah. It's devastating. And also, let's just like while we're in Noxus, sod it, let's just call out old Strength in Numbers! Best card in the set!
Yes. Best in air quotes. But I've had a good time with it.
Yeah,
Of course, I have been playing it. I I still to this day usually put reinforcements into my elites decks, like
yeah,
the 8 cost that summons dudes
yeah,
and gives your elites +1/+1. So yeah, absolutely, I'm running strength in numbers in my dumb Noxen decks. Like
yeah.
it's good. It's real good.
Mm.
Uh,
And
so
I
go.
would just say again, as another while we're in Noxus Sod Bloody Business definitely has helped out that deck or
Oh
like
yeah,
that region so much.
I was surprised that it was as good as it was. Like, it's a little bit better than I thought it would be. Like, I thought the card would be distinctly average, and it's like definitely above that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is is that fact that it just helps with reputation that's helping with Whispered Word, and if you've got other things in that deck which is working off of that, as well as the fact that it's just like straight up removal, like it's like concerted strike but in a different region. Obviously it's like slightly less powerful than concerted strike 'cause it's not working off of 2 units, but it's kind
Hmm.
of like that. It's lovely removal for Noxus.
Speaking of strike effects that are a lot better than I thought they would be, siphoning strike is distinctly okay. Like
Yes, no, yeah, yes.
the 5 cost in Shurima entirely like deckable. You can put like 2 of those in a deck and feel good about it.
Oh yeah, no, well, yeah, that card is actually really good. It's like you know that like you're buffing your champions, and your opponent knows that as well. So sometimes they just their best form of defense is killing their own units sometimes, because if you know what you're up against, if you know what your opponent can play, and you're playing that on the right unit that they can't mystic shot or use any form of removal to kill your unit, their next best option is to kill their own unit.
Yeah,
So yeah, sometimes you don't hit, because I think the most time that I've not hit that has been my opponent killing the unit themselves. But
yeah.
I will take that in all honesty, because it still means that they've lost something on their side of the field.
Have
So
Have you
really
played your
good card.
Howling Abyss deck yet?
I haven't made it yet. You know what? You know what? You know, like I've got plans in the works, but I've had
Yeah.
so many other plans that I've been trying to do. So, for example, you're talking about Siphoning Strike. So, we're talking about Shurima. The deck video that I've got coming out tomorrow is hilarious, like hilarity upon hilarity, because I've not actually made a deck with Talia, and I decided to make one with PNZ and Vi, and the idea of
Okay.
basically using Ancient Hourglass and copying Vi as many times as possible, and Siphoning Strike in that is just so funny to buff Vi even more. Especially, obviously, when you've got cards such as Payday and the Inner Sanctum that could potentially give Vi Overwhelm, so that you've got that, and if you've got multiple copies of her, oh my god, it gets insane. Yes,
I did some testing with a friend actually. We were playing a Talia deck. So remember last episode we were like, if we have 3 Talias in play using the combo that was in the trailer, can
yeah,
your opponent cast spells because it fills up the stack, right?
yes, yes.
They can cast burst spells, but they cannot cast anything else.
Devastating.
You
Locking them down.
it locks them out of vengeance. Yeah, it's really dumb.
Locking them down. I mean, that's been the dream, right?
Yeah,
That's been the dream.
it is very satisfying to see the stack fill up with threaded volleys. Really,
Hmm.
really satisfying. So, what decks have you seen come out of this expansion that has got the brain juices flowing?
In terms of like a which like a, it's hard to tell, right? Because obviously, what we've been seeing out of all the cards in Shurima, we've probably been seeing the most Azir decks coming out of
Oh yeah,
every orifice. Which, let's face it,
that's
Azir decks are devastated in the fact that he works with Lucian, he works with Hecarim, he works just with Shadow Owls without Hecarim, he works with like with Scout stuff. He works with like he works in so many different ways that does make us, because he level he like in the right kind of deck he can level so fast.
yeah, no, absolutely. He so I regret to say that he is currently my highest mastery.
Yeah,
Despite like I don't even know how it's happened really. I think it's because Azir decks are the only ones I'm winning with.
yeah.
But my highest masteries right now are Azir, Renekton, and LeBlanc. So definitely been playing the new expansion more than anything else.
Hmm.
I can say for certain the decks that I have seen this week that have really like made me go, damn, fuck, that's cool. Uh, one of them was from a certain crazy British man.
Hello.
Uh, your War Mother deck is one of the funniest shit I've seen in the history of this game. Care to explain your list for the folks at home?
What you mean? You mean the War Mother deck, which is running the returned guy? I still,
Yes.
was it Kaki? How do you say his name? Because
I can't remember.
Kahiri.
Kairi.
Kahiri the
Yeah.
Returned. Like literally, I saw this card, and even when I saw this card upon them like releasing the cards, I was just like, I need to make a deck with this guy. This guy's too funny not to make a deck with, right? With the text being, when I'm summoned, create a copy of me in your deck, and then every single time you see me on which you get prediction, grant me and like all of my allies everywhere, which is always, you know me, I love a Marauder deck. Anytime I see that keyword of just like, you know, grant every copy of me everywhere, +2/+2, I was like, I need to make something with this guy. And honestly, I was racking in my brain thinking, what's going to be my best way of doing this? I considered Shadow Isles because obviously, like, I just like different ways of summoning him so that he put more copies in the deck. I like just like killing him with like Chronicler and things. I considered so many different things. It just was like, you know what? Let's do a very stupid Freljord control deck whereby our whole plan is to control until we get to War Mothers and just put him in there so that every single time that he gets summoned from War Mothers, he puts another copy of himself in the deck and we can work off of that. And it was like, you know what, solid, let's throw Ra's Bloodmane in there as well because he's also fearsome. He's a 6/6 who, when he attacks forward, is going to be reducing everyone's attack by 2, meaning that fearsome's going to most likely hit in even more so. So it's like, my god, this is genius.
That has to be like, I got 3 hours of straight up cackling out of that deck. Like, I from the second I saw your video onwards, I was playing it all night. It's so much fun.
It's so unexpected. I don't think that people expect that guy, and that's the thing. It's a control deck whereby literally you're using all the control tools that Freljord has, and like a couple from Shurima, and yeah, it just seems to work in such a really funny way. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had somebody I had somebody comment on that video and say that I've played this deck 3 times, and in all 3 games, I never hit the returned once on predict. And I was just like, oof.
I was like stupid lucky. Like I have some great predict RNG.
Yeah.
But I just like to imagine coming up against that deck on like in queue. You see Shurima, Freljord, no champions. What the fuck do you think they're doing?
Exactly.
Because I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, nobody expects that plan, do they?
No.
Nobody expects that plan. And yeah, no, obviously, like, all it takes is a few predicts and he can end up going insane. But not only that, obviously, like, you know, I did put in Xenotype Researcher just to help things out a little bit as well, because sometimes that can hit even Raza Bloodmane, which is funny when it hits Raza Bloodmane as well. But yeah, no, it just you make this exact same thing happened. Number one, when I made that deck earlier on today, which was the Mimic deck with what's his face? Like, it shows how crazy both our minds are that we go like sometimes down the same routes of thought with like Tri-Beam thing. But I still felt that way when I made the Tom Kench deck. Like when I made the Tom Kench deck, I didn't actually realize how perfect the synergy was. Of him eating the ambassador, and then once he gets her back out again, she resummons another Tom Kench into the hand, giving you brunch back. Like this is some really stupid. If you search long and hard enough, you can find really funny, stupid interactions, which will definitely cause you a lot of entertainment.
I think I'm right in saying that this set has some of the best building potential out of any set so far.
Oh yeah.
I think that's fair to say. The cards just have a lot more wacky, weird interactions and like combinations. I don't know. It's hard to explain my reasoning on that one, but this set just feels like there's a lot more options when it comes to ways you can go with these cards.
Yes.
And I love it. Another deck I saw basically just like a couple of days ago, which it's just beautiful. Do you know the card Dusk Rider?
Yes.
Yeah, the horse that has never seen any play
Yeah,
at all.
I understand why you're asking, because many people won't remember that card,
Yeah,
but I still
it's
remember it.
so it's the card where you use unspeakable horror and you get really disappointed. That's the horse we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean, to be fair, that is the worst one that you hear with
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Like you're hoping for like a clip strike and you get a Dusk Rider.
Yeah,
Um, uh, s- so the 4 second the Southeast Asia Masters player,
yes.
uh, great, really nice dude. You like check out his stream if you haven't seen it already. He got into Masters this season using a deck that main decks Dusk Rider, and I love that so much.
Yeah,
It's using the new card Unto Dusk, the draw one, activate an ally's Nightfall effect,
definitely.
uh, to burst speed, give the Dusk Rider another like +6/+0,
Yeah, I mean,
and
that is nice.
it's just so it's beautiful. I love it when ridiculous, like really unplayable cards make it into Masters.
Mm.
It makes me very happy.
That card has got so many ramifications that people don't really realize. I said until dusk, which is the draw. So number one, it's already drawing one. It's a burst speed 2 mana.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's already drawing one, but if played on Nightfall, will reactivate an ally's Nightfall effect. And obviously, there's been a few people who've been using this with Doom Beast in order to get an additional
Yeah,
sook on
I
people.
I have been playing uh Shurima, Shadow Isles, Unto Dusk, Doom Beast, and Ruinous Path to just like suck two from the enemy nexus until they die.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have been, but that Until Dusk has got a number of actually really funny qualities depending on obviously who you play it on. So obviously you could play it on the Crescent Guardian to increase into his overwhelm. You could play it on top of I've seen like how somebody play it on top of a Felios to get another moon weapon when it was needed.
Oh yeah.
Um I've seen the best one that I saw was somebody using it on top of they used it twice on top of what's his face, old Nocturne, so that because if you use it on Nocturne, he immediately knocks down all of your stuff by one. So it's like for 4 mana, they're basically doing like
No.
taking
Does
you
that
down.
work like that? Like,
Yes,
oh,
it takes down
ignoring any
every.
ignoring any targeted portions. Oh, so it just okay.
It
So it doesn't give
activates.
anyone vulnerable.
It
It
doesn't
just
give
give.
anyone vulnerable, but it knocks everyone down by
Oh,
like
that's so fucked. What the hell?
it knocks everyone's attack stat down. So obviously you're playing that in the right kind of fearsome deck. That is immediately just you can't defend me. So that's what I mean. Right, but that is the best use I've seen of somebody using that with Nocturne. Was literally they burst speeded that twice against me on top of him. It's like, what do I like? Like you're playing a game of Legends of Runeterra. You think that everything's going well. You're like, psh, he's got a whole board of he's got a whole board of fearsome. That's fine. I've got plenty of options right now that I can use to defend. Then you see one of these hit the ball, and you think, okay, that's got rid of a few of my options, but I've still got one or two things out of it. They do it again. Okay, I
Ah.
cannot defend.
Yeah,
So
opponent basically just played level 3 Nasus. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
basically.
I'm just looking at Eclipse Dragon right now and thinking like Until Dusk draws you 2 random cards, but like they're dragons and celestials. That's a pretty good pool.
Yeah, yeah.
Gives me like Galakrond priest vibes.
Yeah,
Like
it's got a few more insane reasons, like things that can do. Obviously, I said I didn't even think about Dusk Rider activating again to obviously buff its attack stats, but obviously, yeah, that is also an amazing use of that card. But yeah, I feel like it's one of those cards. Like when people don't look like. I feel that some people have misread that card. So one of the first things that people said to me was like, "Oh, why don't you play this in a deck when you get load? Like you basically play Siphon Soul and get loads of Doom Beast, and then play this. And it's GG." I was like, "You do realize it only targets one Nightfall. It doesn't just work on. It doesn't like. It's not like the card which is the 5 mana. Is it 5 mana? The card which activates all the sun card, which is like Leona's spell, whereby
Dawn thing.
yeah, where it
Hold
activates
yeah.
everyone's daybreak effect.
I'll be
type
with you.
thing. It's
Dawnbreak.
not like that. It only activates on one, so that's why that doesn't work. But there still are some really interesting uses of that card.
Daybreak. Morning light.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
and I do have to say that I think that probably I think that one of the craziest things, in my opinion, that I was expecting to see in this expansion that we didn't see was I was honest to God expecting to see Daybreak in Shurima,
Yeah,
and we didn't. We didn't.
searching now, I've just realized I can't remember the last time I saw someone play a Leona.
I know, right?
Today I went onto Mobalytics and sorted by Yasuo decks and nothing came up. And that's
Oh,
actually hilarious.
oh, that's sad, man. That's upset. That's upsetting.
Rest in
That's
peace, Nexus.
that's upsetting, is what that is.
That's really fucking funny, is what that is. We have different yeah. I'm not a good fan. I'm not a big fan of our friend, the Yasui.
I don't mind him, you know. Like, but to be fair, you know me. I love all the cards, man.
Yeah, I do. I've noticed.
I just want all to have a good time. Is that too much to ask for? But
I just, yeah. I think it's better when some cards aren't meta.
mm.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I will just say that shout out to Loaded Dice. That is a really great, funny
Oh, yeah.
card, especially when played with Targ with the out the way to make it a continuous effect. And obviously, the hilarity of actually taking somebody's ascended call or ascended call from them
Yes.
after they've played the Emperor's deck. Like
That
that is amazing.
I'm glad you got that off. I'm glad I wanted to see somebody do it, and I'm glad it was you. That's when I found out from the wiki that Ascended's call was always on the bottom, I was like, how long before that clip makes it to Twitter? And the answer was 3 hours.
Yes. I mean, honestly, it's an amazing interaction. It's really funny. I can understand why that is the bottom card.
Yeah, I kind of get it, but I think it matters. It never ever matters that that's the bottom card of the deck, because the Emperor's deck is so strong anyway. If you make it to the bottom of the Emperor's deck without winning, that it's your own fucking fault.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah,
But
I will be uploading a clip to Twitter later to do with Loaded Dice that you might find humorous.
I'll definitely be giving it a look, my friend. I'll definitely be giving it a look. But honestly, I think that we can all agree that they've done a magnificent job with this whole set. I feel that although there might be some cards which don't stick out as much as others and probably might not even see play, Battlefield prowess.
I was about to say, what the fuck is that card? Yeah, Damasio really taking an L with its combat tricks.
But yeah, well, there's some cards that might not see play. But honestly, they've done a really good job with this whole set, and yet again, their development team just continues to do a really good job, in my opinion. Just all that. I know that there's been a lot of negativity in the community as of late, just a little bit, but
yeah.
Give them the benefit of the doubt, people.
So some of it was reasonably warranted, to be fair. Like the whole drama about stream sniping was pretty I was actually quite happy to see that, the community banding together to be like, this is not okay. That was nice. But yeah, you're right. It has been a month of general negativity.
And it's such an amazing game, and it's got it. Their team is working so well on it, and I feel like it deserves props for that. And yeah, I'm just you know me, buddy boo. You know that I'm a man who just wants to positivity and gloriousness, and let's just all have fun together. I know not everyone thinks like that, but that's just part of who I am.
I am largely the same. I think it comes across very poorly to be complaining about really inconsequential things of a game that is largely free.
Oh yeah,
it's 2 weeks. You will live. Go outside, smell the flowers. It's been lovely weather. If you are really so very upset that that the meta is not shifting as much as you like, go outside for 2 weeks and wait for the patch notes.
Well, I said, like, it's the same with any kind of game like this. The meta's always going to shift in some way. It's like sometimes the meta's going to be what you want it to be. Sometimes the meta's going to be what you don't want it to be, and that's just the ever-changing world that of
Yeah,
competitive games is. Like, it's the same with any kind of game, like be it League or be it Overwatch or be it like whatever the hell. There's always going to be a meta whereby you have to play this, this, and this if you really want to do well. But
and
it's ever-changing thing.
it's also very close-minded to call a meta stale. Like when a meta of any game, and I played Magic the Gathering for many years. If a meta becomes stale, that means it is at its most exploitable. If the meta settles in a way that is gross and or no, beyond that, if a meta ever settles and becomes an established structure, that is the point at which you can start abusing it. So if you are upset by Lysandra and Fizz TF and Aphelios clogging up the ladder, I guarantee you can build a deck to abuse it.
Hmm.
Like, just put your mind to it.
Yeah, I'm
Give it a
still
go.
wait. I'm still waiting for that moment when I come up against a Lysandra deck, and it just so happens to be the time when I'm running a deck where I'm running Possession and Rally. That's all. That's all I'm waiting for to watch them back. That's all I'm waiting for.
I'm
One
waiting
day.
for the day where this exact scenario comes up. And here's the funny thing. I believe you. I'm gonna see that on Twitter like next week.
One day, I shall use their own Watcher against them.
Yeah, Gomez is just like Shadow Isles Demacia on ranked ladder waiting
To
for
be
that.
fair, that is already an established like thing in terms of the fact that you could either go down the Lucian Hecarim route with Landmark, but just throw in a possession in there as well, or you could even do that with an Undying deck. Like,
Yeah.
there's a few different actual combinations between Shadow Isles and Demacia where you could actually make that work.
Yeah. But yeah, I am very impressed with this set, and I think everybody should stop being little babies.
But yeah, I was like, I will always advocate that everyone has the right to their own opinion.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes just like,
I will also
be
advocate that
positive.
my opinion is the correct one.
I don't agree with you, but I'll fight to the death to defend your right to say it.
Yeah. I am a free speech advocate. I love hearing you guys be wrong.
But yeah, it's one of those things, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
words.
I presume then that is us coming to an end.
It feels like we're in a rappy down kind of way, right?
Yeah. We're getting pretty good at like getting the podcast to like finish roughly on the hour. Like our
Nice.
timekeeping is getting better.
Nice.
So, I'll let you do it. I'll let you do this bit. You're better at it than me.
I mean, apparently, I don't know. Honestly, thank you so much for listening. I hope you had a great time. Bear in mind that there will be, if you're watching this on YouTube, there should be the links to both mine and Janky's YouTube streams or whatever the hells that are different things that are down there. It's like Twitters and whatnot should all be down there. As well as the fact that obviously you can catch this. So it's on SoundCloud. It's on YouTube.
We've established SoundCloud. Yep.
We've got SoundCloud. And we've got YouTube. Have we got anything else?
Nope. Spotify's coming. Well, I'll be honest. I forgot to do anything about that this week.
It's okay. Don't worry about it, buddy. Don't worry about it. But the point is that we're on SoundCloud and we're on YouTube. So
Yeah, I will put links to the videos that Gomez mentioned in the description as well, so you can go and watch him.
Thank you. Honestly, you don't have to. I don't know. Add extra work to you.
It'll take seconds. I can do that while the video's rendering.
But honestly, just thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed your time here. Bear in mind, that obviously, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button or hit that little heart button. I think it is on SoundCloud.
I believe so. Yeah.
Just to help out the podcast and let us know that you guys are enjoying it. Let us have it. Do a comment down below so we can have a look at it, because we definitely go through the comments and whatnot. So have a little go down there, because we just want to know what your guys' feedback and whatnot is, because honestly, we have a great time making this and we hope that you have a great time listening. So what better way to show us that than hitting those buttons so we can see it?
Also, tell us what decks you have been playing, because I'm no word of a lie. Whenever I see a deck online, I end up playing it. I just caught whenever I see a deck, I just screenshot it and add it to my collection.
Quickly, I must now exploit this fact by making the most terrible deck around. There's no cards until turn 8.
You know what? It's fine. Just play Trundle.
Exactly. But yes, good times.
Yes. We shall see you in 2 weeks' time.
Indeed. See you in the next one, people.
Bye-bye.